Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel. I'm a biomedical science and pre-med student, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my key tips for the CARS section of the MCAT exam. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for upcoming MCAT videos in my MCAT prep playlist. And also check me out on Instagram. I'll be reading these tips from my MCAT tips document that I created while I was preparing for the MCAT. I'll leave a link to the doc in the description down below. Now let's jump right into it. My first tip for CARS is to make sure you're reading for comprehension. Now this is difficult as you're going to have to be balancing reading for speed as well as accuracy. The best way to work on this is through doing many practice passages and practice questions so that you can not only work on how fast you're reading these passages, but also how the test makers are asking these questions. On test day, make sure that you're starting off strong and not letting a difficult or complex passage throw you off right off the bat. What you want to do if you come across a difficult or complex passage is to skip that passage entirely and come back to it. You don't want to ruin your momentum or mess up by trying to spend too long on a passage and end up being confused and getting questions wrong and flagging, which will only build up panic and mess up your test taking momentum. So if you don't know, flag and go. Sometimes it can be hard to maintain concentration and focus when you're going through complex passages under stress and pressure. So one thing that might be helpful is to highlight. Make sure that you're striking a balance with highlighting. You don't want to highlight excessively as this will slow you down and most likely not help you out on test day. What you want to do is make sure that you're highlighting key things such as authors' names, turning points, contrasts, topic sentences, and main ideas. As with other sections of the MCAT, make sure that you're reading the questions carefully. The worst thing you want to do is to get the comprehension down for a passage, but miss questions that you read through too fast and answered too hastily. If you guys have been following the previous videos on this channel, you know that one thing I constantly harp on is the MCAT being passage-based. This is a super huge point to capitalize and take advantage of, considering that CARS is entirely critical thinking reading passages. With this in mind, know that all of the questions from the CARS passage are going to be text evidence based and backed up by textual evidence that you're going to find in the passage. If you come across a question where you're in between two answer choices, use this to your advantage and try to look into the passage to find evidence to prove each of the points and see which of the points is correct or considered more correct, based on passage evidence. Right off the bat, if you see a question that says, according to the passage or as stated in the passage, you know that they're going to be referring back to some section of the passage with this answer. Another thing to keep in mind is that the CARS section of the MCAT doesn't require you to have any prior knowledge of any of the subjects covered in the CARS section. CARS is testing you for your critical thinking and reading skills, not any outside information that may be covered from subjects in the passages. Keeping this in mind, make sure that if you do happen to have any prior background knowledge from subjects covered in a CARS passage, that you're not solely using this background knowledge to answer the CARS question. Even though it might help you a little bit with having some background knowledge, it could also serve as a detriment if you're answering only based off your assumptions and prior knowledge. Remember, the MCAT and especially the CARS section is going to be passage-based. So make sure that you're answering these questions based on information from the passage and not just prior knowledge. You may come across an answer choice that seems correct because it seems familiar to you, but remember, if it's not supported by information in the passage, do not pick it. A super important thing to focus on is the main idea of the passage. This also aligns with reading for comprehension and essentially making sure that you only have to go through the CARS passage once in order to fully absorb the main idea and the message that the author is trying to convey. The main idea and the author's purpose are going to drive a majority of the stylistic choices that the author makes throughout the passage. The main idea and the author's purpose is what the author is trying to convey through their piece of writing. The information they include, the rhetoric, the tone, and any other stylistic choices are going to be based off of this main idea and author's purpose. If you're stuck on why an author included something, look to the main idea. Topic sentences at the beginning or end of paragraphs are also helpful in outlining the passage and determining the author's overall main idea. The author will often introduce the main idea in the first paragraph, or summarize the main idea in the last paragraph. Make sure to pay attention to these key points when reading through the passage. Additionally, if asked about the author's perspective, make sure that you're eliminating answer choices that directly contradict the author's main idea or purpose. Skimming too quickly throughout a passage and having to go back and reread sections of the passage will drain on your time and not help you to absorb the main idea of the passage. As with other sections of the MCAT, process of elimination is key to test taking success. Of course, with the MCAT being passage-based, if it's not supported by information in the text, do not pick it. Question is asking you to pick the passage's claim, make sure that you're not confusing the claim with supporting evidence. Supporting evidence may contain something that's familiar that may cause you to think it's the correct answer, but remember that the claim is much wider in scope and backed up by supporting evidence. The AMC often strays from having answer choices that are too extreme. So if you see an answer choice that seems too extreme or too extraneous and irrelevant to the passage information, make sure to eliminate this answer choice. Also, make sure that you're eliminating answer choices that are out of scope or not addressing what's being asked in the question. If you're short on time or stuck too long on one question, make sure that you go with your gut, flag it, and move on. Be mindful of the vocabulary in each of the questions. Look at the question's word choice for clues as to what the question is asking. For example, if you see a question that asks specifically for unqualified evidence, the word unqualified signals that the question is looking for an answer choice with evidence that is complete, not qualified, and cast without a doubt. Another example is if the question is asking for a unanimous decision, you know that by using the word unanimous, they're looking for a decision that was agreed upon by all, or in which all were fully in agreement. And with that, I send you guys off with more MCAT tip knowledge. Make sure to share this video with anyone else who may be preparing for the MCAT. Like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps this channel out. My DMs are always open for any questions you guys may have. Comment down below any tips that you found particularly useful, as well as any other questions that you guys may have for me. Best of luck in your studies, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!